My name's Darian Bacon of 7winds, and today we're going to talk about a product that I'm really excited about. So excited that I haven't even taken it out of the box yet, just because I'm so excited and I want to share it with you guys, but it is going to be part 1 of 4 on a review of this unit, and I'm going to explain why in a bit. But first, I'm going to get this thing out of my way because it's a big box. Hopefully it's bigger on the inside. So the Solavore Sport, it's basically a solar-powered slow cooker, for lack of a better term. It's made by a company called Solavore. They're based in Minnesota, northern United States. So that probably indicates to me that it is going to work in my climate in Canada, because Minnesota is fairly north. But the reason why I'm going to do 4 parts in this series is to really test out the solar-powered cooking capabilities in a Canadian climate with this unit. We've seen lots of units like it on the market. I did a lot of research. This one seems to be the best, and that's why I'm so excited for it. And we're going to do 4 parts so we can try Canadian spring, summer, fall, and we're even going to try the winter and see what we can crank out with this thing. The company, Solavore, I said, Minnesota, they really seem to take charitable works and profit sharing really to heart. Every unit that they sell, they take proceeds of that and put it towards solar-powered ovens in places that really don't have a lot of infrastructure for cooking, that are still using fire, that are using consumables, and really, you know, maybe not the easiest, but also not the most environmentally sustainable ways of cooking. They're trying to give back to those communities. I think Kenya is a huge one for them as well. The unit itself, it weighs about 9 pounds. So, I mean, 9 pounds is what I take into the bush if I'm ultralight camping. I'm not going to take this unit ultralight camping with me. However, I'm going to take this out to my bee yard. I'm going to take this when I go to festivals. If I'm doing car camping or going up to a cottage, fantastic, because this is really a set it and forget it approach to cooking. What I really am hoping that I can see come of this is that I can put food in the early morning, go do my work, go do playing, go fishing, what have you, come back, and my food's already made. I do a lot of canoeing, a lot of paddling, and I'll tell you, after a long day on the water, one thing I really don't look forward to is getting back to camp, getting my food bag down, getting a fire started, cooking the food, and then getting to enjoy it. I think this would be phenomenal if I can go back to a camp right away, eat my food. Just like that. All the prep work is done when I'm groggy and my caffeine hasn't even kicked in the morning. Perfect in my opinion. The size of it, it's approximately 1 by 2 by 1.5 feet. I'll put the actual specifics there. And while I'm thinking of it, because I'm hoping this is going to be a great product, I'm even going to put the link to the company here, I guess, just so that you guys can click on it and review it for yourselves. It's hopefully going to sustain temperatures between 210 and 260 degrees Fahrenheit in this climate. Now, it can max out at 300. This is spring. This is still May in Canada. I'm not expecting 300 degrees, but we're going to play around with it and we're going to see exactly what we can do. It's made out of a pressure-injected nylon resin. This nylon resin is pushed into a mold at 1,000 pounds of pressure, as well as having glass fibers embedded through it. So that creates like this mesh, this network that makes it really durable, really strong. It'll take the heat. There's an aluminum liner inside of it to bounce the heat around and create really good convection inside the unit. But it's also going to be really safe. It never gets to temperatures that are going to burn children, for example. So you can leave this out at the campsite. Quite often, my best buddy and I, we do a lot of camping. He's got 2 little ones, and keeping them safe when we're in the backcountry can be difficult. So having a cooking source that they're not going to burn themselves on, perfect for me. Hopefully it's going to work out very, very well. It's supposed to be safe. It's supposed to be really easy to set up and use. And that's what I'm going to figure out right now. Does this look like a subwoofer to anybody else? This is one thing that I was told about this product that I'm actually kind of excited about. They've actually fit the angles so that in the summertime or in, your standard climate, Toronto and below sort of idea, to some point maybe in Africa or Australia, I guess, you can leave the unit in the summertime at its normal base position, and this angle approximate, well, I won't even try to approximate it. I'll put the angle here and I'll do some research on it. Will capture the right azimuth, the right angle to get to the sun in most temperatures and most seasons, to elicit the best cooking. However, in the winter time, or if the sun is lower on the horizon line, wherever you happen to be for whatever reason, this unit can be turned onto its end, to give you a lower trajectory for the sun. I think that's a really cool feature, and it didn't really add a lot to the footprint. So that was really good thinking that went involved in this. So that really didn't take long at all. Just a few minutes to set it up from an unboxing, from my first time having never played with the unit before. I think these little brackets to hold the lid, the polycarbonate lid on, they're really ingenious. They didn't take that long to figure out. One thing that did take a little bit of time to figure out was the reflector panel and how to attach these. Turns out I just had the reflectors upside down, and that's why it wasn't working. I did have to read 2 steps of the instruction manual to figure it out, but that was it. There is a lot more documentation here that I will read, but didn't have to get this far. I do think the reflector system is well designed. It sits into the grooves of the lid quite well. What I'm not entirely convinced about is how much of the reflection actually goes down to the unit. I'm actually thinking I'm pooching my video footage just by turning this unit around, and that's a direct result of the light reflecting to the camera and not into the food where it belongs. But I could be wrong. It does say it's supposed to double the amount of light going in, and of course with surface area that's true. What I am going to do in a future video is actually compare light temperature, temperatures inside the oven with similar lighting from reflectors and not reflectors to see what the difference actually is. They are lightweight. They will, I would think, pack into the unit quite well. So bringing them along, setting them up, hey, it's just an extra step. It's just going to help. I just don't know how much, and we're going to figure that out in a future video. The unit is very durable. It's well built. Again, it was really easy to put together. Even without this reflector on, the unit looks quite sleek. I don't know if I can reach that one from this far away. Probably will when I get used to the unit. But it does all fold down very flat and actually rather quick to take off. And the unit itself doesn't have any openings in the back. You just take these clips off, which does add a little bit of scratching, but not in a particularly exposed spot. And here you go. All right, so here's the unit. They did include two, what they're calling granite ware, but they're definitely enamelware pots, which fit absolutely perfectly in the unit. These are supposed to be PTFE free, which is an off-gassing chemical that's found in Teflon quite often. I try to avoid it. I think a lot of health-conscious people do. So it's that. They're dishwasher safe. They're very lightweight. I'm assuming stackable. They're not stackable, but they do fit inside the unit. I'm curious about with the reflectors. Yeah, actually, it looks like it's pretty much designed to put everything all in one. This extra wide flange, I think, is a very smart idea. I'm gonna bring this over and just take a look at this flange. One of the reasons is because this is only clipping into place with the lid. So by having that extra wide spot, air gaps aren't really going to be a problem to keep the heat in. It will also keep the moisture in. One of the really cool things about this unit is that you really need a lot less water to cook with because the moisture isn't really going to escape. Even the holes for the reflectors, which is in the lid of the unit, if I can show you like that, is far enough up the flange that heat loss won't happen that way. So I think it's a really well-designed unit. As I say, it does certainly feel durable. The aluminum liner, I barely even noticed. In fact, I think I just noticed it now, to be perfectly honest. Packaging was very minimal, so they do have a very environmental standpoint, even when it comes to their shipping. I read an interesting article about these, that the way they're designed, they can stack hundreds of these for bulk shipping, so they can really minimize their impact. And I kind of get that. If they're sending a lot of these products to third world countries, the cost of shipping is not cheap going there by any means, so that they can stack all these units together and probably keep all the lids slightly separate. Really smart idea. So far I'm really happy with it. It definitely has a new nylon, new enamel smell to them. It's probably coated in something. So before I do any cooking with this at all, I'm going to give this a good thorough washing, and then I'm going to come back and show you two really quick examples of things that are not on their website to cook with, but I just thought I would try them to start off with. I should say their website has a lot of really, really nice looking recipes. A lot of them are a little more intricate than what I would be thinking of for camping or for being out in the bush or cottaging, what have you. Even glamping, they seem a little excessive for my taste. So I'm going to do today, in the springtime, two really simple ones. One for ultralight camping. Not that you'd probably take this ultralight camping, but just to show its range, or maybe you have a cottage you have to hike back to, or a favorite spot you want to leave this at and just bring food in. And then something for the fishermen, for the anglers who want to go out for a day on the water, come back and have food ready to go. So I'm going to get all that set up and be right back. Okay, so I put the Solavore back out into the sun for a little bit, just to see what can happen. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to try cooking today. This is my first time using the oven. It's about 20 after 1 in the afternoon. It is a gorgeous day, and I'm really trying to figure out whether or not I want to try today or not. I might try with one recipe and then try the other one tomorrow and hope that the weather holds out. But let's start with the ultralight recipe. Something that I can just put in my backpack, no problem at all. Now, the one really cool thing about the Solavore, the many cool things that have been advertised about it that I really want to check out, is that food needs less water to cook. You would never fill this with water from a lake and set it out and expect it to boil, okay? This is about 9 quarts or what have you. It's not going to fill, or it's not going to come to a boil because we're using solar temperatures. You don't want super, super dense foods. You want grains, like lentils. These should work very, very well. But because it's trapping the moisture in, they say you need 25% less water to cook with them. You're going to want to start with clean water. You're always going to want to use clean water in this. Do not expect this to sterilize or disinfect any water sources. However, I did notice in the packaging there was some sort of sample product for checking for clean water. Maybe. I didn't want to read the information while I was on camera. I'll come back to that if it's worth noting. And who knows, with this company it might very well be. But let's just get straightforward. Super easy cooking recipe. I'm going to take one of their pots and, I don't know what that is, 1/4 pound, maybe a little more than 1/4 pound of lentils. I did weigh this out pre-packaging, which you always do before a camping trip anyway. I'm just going to put them right in the bottom. Now, normally with lentils, I like a 2 parts water to 1 part lentil solution. Now again, they say 25% less is required. I'm just checking these for stones, which sometimes happen in organic lentils. These look pretty good. Actually, the black pot and the orange lentils really makes life easier for that. Anyway, so I've pre-done a 2 to 1 less 25% pre-mixed water. That's good. We'll see that available at the next grocery store super sale. We just put that in. So basically, this makes it even easier just to search for little pebbles and stones, which can definitely drop to the bottom. I don't see anything at all, so we're good that way. My hand, this is the wet hand now, so I'm going to put a little bit of salt in because I know the next ingredient I didn't add any salt to so that I can tailor make it. This is my own custom garam masala mix, which most North Americans probably only call a curry powder. I made this just the other day. It is phenomenal stuff. Everybody raves about my garam masala, and you know what? I'll make you a deal because normally garam masala mixtures are family prized secrets. They're not really communicated. When you do find YouTube videos and things about them, they're usually not giving you all the ingredients. This is a new channel. This is a new review. 7winds is just starting up. If we get 500 likes for this video, not the other ones, just this video, I'll do another video and I will give you all the ingredients of my very, very special garam masala or curry powder mixture. It's not curry powder. Curry powder is a blend of powders. Curry is a plant that sometimes is contained, often is contained in a garam masala, but that's beside the point. So I'm just adding kind of an eyeball mixture to these lentils. That'll make something called dal. Hopefully that's going to be very good. We won't know. As it is, I'm going to put the lid on it and I'll put that in the cooker. The next one, I mentioned I wanted to do something a little bit higher end, maybe something for the anglers. I've got some whitefish here from my freezer. So this was frozen from last year's fishing. You can see it's still in very good shape. I'm a bit of a germaphobe, so I have separated it onto a piece of cardboard that was kindly provided by Solavore. So we're going to make a fish chowder, I guess, somewhere between a scalloped potato and a chowder. But I'm trying to do it really, really simply, minimal ingredients, but a lot of flavor. And to do that, you kind of need a keynote. Now, it's a whitefish. There's not a lot of flavor involved in it. For the seasoning, I'm just going to use a very simple mixture of Old Bay, which if anybody is not familiar with Old Bay, that's a Creole seasoning, I believe. It's a blend. Very, very common with seafood, especially in the South. Some good old simple kosher salt, and something that might be new to some people, grains of paradise. Now, grains of paradise, it comes from Africa, usually Western Africa. Ethiopia is another one that really provides it. Certainly the grain coast, or sorry, the pepper coast. It is also called the grain coast, but the pepper coast got its name from these, grains of paradise. A couple of other names, alligator pepper, I think, is another one that's quite common. It's like pepper in a lot of ways. It's actually related to ginger, and very closely related to cardamom. Not really a whole lot of cardamom flavor in it, But basically you can use it just like your peppercorns. It adds a little bit more complexity to the heat. Not more heat, just more complexity to the heat. A little bit of a citrus twang. Really nice, simple ingredient. I'm going to take that off the cutting board so I can actually work half decently well. And very easily attained online. My local spice store, even the one in the big town over, they don't carry this, but online, your normal mega online retailer, they certainly have this product. Not a problem. The cream base to this chowder sort of thing, I'm using a unidentified brand name of a cream of something something soup. I've got cream of asparagus here. I think cream of chicken, heck, even cream of mushroom would work very, very well in this. But let's remember, this is not a cooking video. This is a product review. So when you grind it down, don't be surprised. You're going to get a little bit of white flecks in that. It is a little white, the meat part inside the seed. Not a big problem, but as you can tell, it's pretty fast to grind down. Now, we need to talk about vegetables to get into here. So for that, I have an organ donor bag. Well, it is an organ donor bag. Not quite what's inside, though. Actually, my lunch box. I take it to work, and one day, I will take this to a park and eat raw liver out of it, just to see what reactions I get from people. I've got some mushrooms, pre-sliced, a couple of potatoes, and a couple of onions. That's it. That's all I'm going to work with to make this really simple, really fast, hopefully really tasty dish. To do that, I am going to use a mandolin or a V-slicer. They all, I hope, come with hand guards, because this is very dangerous equipment. Those blades are razor sharp. I recommend spending $12 whopping and get a pair of Kevlar gloves. This isn't always the easiest thing to work with. Now, I'm going to prep up my veg. I will keep the camera rolling on that, I guess. I also forgot to get a knife. So I'm going to prep all this stuff and come right back. That's what I like about cooking outside. Yeah, Mr. Bond, I expect you to cry. Well, that doesn't work so hot now, does it? That. All right, prep work is done. I probably have way more stuff prepped than I really need, but let's find out. I'm gonna kind of do this like lasagna style. Again, I've never used this cooker before. I'm not using any extra liquids at all, because I know what this unit can do in terms of keeping moisture in, and there's plenty of liquid in the unnamed cream of something something that should hopefully get us through no problem. So I did a first layer of onions. I think the fish should go on top of the onions on each layer. I don't know how many layers I'm going to end up doing. I'm playing this by ear. Again, this is the very initial test. Future videos, I will have played with this a lot and will have learned. So I'm going to put 3 fillets down, and then I'm going to put some mushrooms. Just a good handful of mushrooms in there. Again, not a cooking show. This is a review, believe it or not. I could do a cooking show. I would love to do a cooking show. Any networks that deal with food? Yeah, hi. Subscribe, email, contact info. Hook me up. Ooh, but reversed. Wait, that way. That'll work better. All right, so 1 layer of potato goes on. I'm going to put another layer of onion. I'm going to put a little bit of salt at this point. Don't forget, the soup does have a lot of salt in it. Some of the grains of paradise. And I'm not going to use the garam masala. I'm going to use good old bay. So that's kind of what we got going on right now. It's more than kinda, it's exactly what we got. So the onions have gone down. We're going to put another fish layer. This will be the last fish layer. This might just be a 2-layer, whatever you want to call it. Scalloped lasagna chowder. Scalloped lasagna chowder. That sounds wonderful. All right. Now, onions. Last of the mushrooms. And we're going to put some more potatoes on. We don't want to pack this too tight, because when we put the sauce in on top, we want it to be able to percolate and perfuse all the way down and really get a good layer. So looking at this, I probably only needed 1 potato. Nothing wrong with potato slices. We can make good with it. All right. I'm going to just finish it up with the last of the onion as well. That actually looks pretty tasty for something that can really be hauled out in a very small lunchbox. And how much do you think that would feed? That's 6 fillets. I guess your average person, that's 6 servings. Let's call it 3 for the rest of us. And I'm going to put that cream of something soup, glob it as evenly as globs will glob. So now we use the can to spread. All right, just like that. We've kind of filled it all up. One famous food chef that I follow a lot would say you got to give it the old shaker shaker. So let's give it the old shaker shaker just to get everything down there. Like that. Lid goes on. These are going to go in the cooker. We're at 20 to 2 at this point. Should we try? Let's try. Let's see what happens. Worst case scenario, we come back and try it again. My name's Darian Bacon. I'm from 7winds. Let's see what happens. Okay, so this has been sitting out in the sun for maybe 15 minutes tops. And it's already at 250 degrees Fahrenheit. It's actually in really good shape to actually have this food cooked by dinner time. So I'm glad I actually set this up today. And all that's left for me to really do, take the lid off. Oh, wow. Okay, this will work. Ow, that's actually very hot on the inside. There's my fish dish. I'm gonna stick the goop to the back. Yep, very warm on the inside. Very warm on the inside. I do want this little included thermometer to be visible so I can actually see what we're doing. Lid's gonna go back on right away. Just like that. I'm gonna put the reflector on too. Now, hopefully, as I'm doing this, you're going to see how easy this actually is to do. One thing I've learned is keep the springs facing up. And then it just sort of slides right into place. You can't argue with something that easy. Not in this day and age. And not when you don't have to tend it all day long either. That's a very impressive product feature. So, now that I know how to use the reflector panels, they do go on very quick. I do see that it is adding to the inside, so I might have to eat a little crow regarding its trajectory. But all in all, I think that's going to be very good. But the proof is in the pudding, or in this case, the fish chowder. Okay, so now it's just about dinner time and I'm hungry. And one of the main reasons why I'm hungry is I just spent the last 5 hours working in the garden, and I didn't even have to think about my dinner because it cooked all on its own. And that's the real beauty of that, or at least I hope it cooked on its own. I haven't opened this yet. I haven't done the unveil at all. But when you think about, you know, the amount of calories it took for me to make this versus what I'm going to be able to bring in, let alone the time, like I'm actually saving calories too, because all the work is being done from the sun and from a little bit of prep work ahead of time. No BTUs, no need for firewood, no need to refuel. It's all from the sun. And of course there's going to be problems with that, right? Cloudy days, rain, things like that. It's really going to limit it down. However, I was really surprised, as you saw previously when I had it open for about 10 minutes or had it up for about 10 minutes, it was too hot for me to touch the inside. Now, every hour or so I checked on this. It always was between about 220 and 245, which is absolutely perfect. You'll have to bear with me. I'm from Canada. I'm used to Celsius or centigrade. I know a lot of people who are going to watch this video, they're Americans, so I have converted to Fahrenheit. I don't really know a whole lot on the Fahrenheit scale, but yeah, according to the sensor, it's between 220 and 245, which is over the boiling point. I know 212 is boiling, so this should have had plenty of time to cook. Fish, which is the one meal, it needs a minimum temperature of 145 Fahrenheit to be considered safe. So I do have my instant read thermometer. It's telling me that it's 89 degrees Fahrenheit right now, which is just absolutely wonderful for this day. It was really fun to be out in the garden and to keep looking back and to see my food being cooked without even having to worry about going back into the kitchen. Now, some other things that I noticed about it, there is a fair bit of condensation on the inside of the unit, and I think that's actually a good sign. I think that means that we're not getting a whole lot of evaporation of the moisture that's already in there, so they're probably quite right. You need less water to cook your food. We'll figure that out with the lentils in a moment. It never got too hot to touch. It always stayed, you know, warm to the touch. The lid especially was warm, but it wouldn't have hurt a child at all. And with the amount of hooks and things that it secures with, they're not going to get into it. It's going to be fine. And I can't really think about anything else other than food right now. So let's crack into this thing. So I guess first thing I'm going to do is take off these little clips that hold it all together, or they'll take themselves off. I like that. And then we've got these little spring forms. I'm sure in the manual it says not to go too hard on these. I will read the manual tonight, I promise. All right, moment of truth. Oh, it smells good. The temperature, as you can see, is still about 210 degrees. These are hot. I probably should have thought about oven mitts or something. But for now, I see a stick and I can handle these lids. I don't know which one this is. Oh, yes, I do. This is the fish one. Let's start off with the dull. Let's start off with the lentils first, because that's what I'm really smelling right now. Oh, sizzle. Hold on. You need to hear that. That sounds really good. And the steam, and I don't see any moisture there at all. And now I've really kind of euchred my mic. This is why I should have brought a portable mic out. All right, I have my stick. Oh, I got a better stick now. Oh, wow. All right. All the water got absorbed. All the spices are there. It actually did take 25% less water to cook. And I probably could have cut it down even more. Now see how easy this is to clean. There's no gluten, but this is a starch. And even with the stick, I'm able to get most of it out. It'll take a little bit of a scrub, but hey, you know what? That's not bad at all. They're cooked perfectly. They're hot. Almost too hot to eat. Temperature of those? Well over the safe fish temperature. There is no such thing as a safe lentil temperature, but we're capping out about 151. On to the good meal. Okay, you be quiet. There we go. All right. Wow. Everything is just tender. Actually just diffuse some of the liquid and then take a temperature of the liquid. Maybe I'll go right to the heart of a fillet. All right. Temperature of the fillet. Well, it's showing me again. We're at 151. It makes sense that they're the same temperature. They've had enough time to come up. But I'm seeing the steam. I'm smelling it. The mushrooms are good. I think I will try and see how flaky the fish is. Fish is nice and flaky, which is a good indication that it's done. Dough. All right, we'll try a different piece. Haha. I didn't have to spend any time cooking. I like this product. I think tomorrow I'll do another recipe video. I'll challenge myself. How about only things I can find in my backyard? Stay tuned for that. This is Durian Bacon. This is the Solavore Sport. And I'm hungry. Good day.